adage that content is king, you know?
Yeah.
And if Twitch invest in making their own original content and they actually promote it and that content is king, you know? Fuck just happened there?
There's
Are we
talking
still
about.
on?
Yeah, I still see it, but there's some people saying it's
You're
pygmy.
coming in like pretty robot-y for me. I don't know if it's on my end or
Yeah,
It's
I don't know if I just had a massive lag spike because I mean, like I said,
yeah,
the
I think so.
internet's
Just keep
great
going. Just keep going.
in the
Figure it
Nevada
out.
desert. So anyway, yeah, but basically, well, yeah, if you invest in it and you create that unique content, it's an extra value proposition to Twitch. You know, Twitch obviously go out there and they sell ad space. That's their whole business model. So what you're telling me, if you made a premium piece of content that everyone wanted to watch, and like maybe even people had to pay to watch, or maybe you fund it by having a premium, ad campaign attached only to that show. You're telling me there would be no benefit there for Twitch? Well, absolutely not true. There would be. And I do think at some point Twitch will get into. I think they're going to do two things in the future. I think on the esports front, they're going to buy exclusive rights to tournaments.
Exclusive, right?
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah,
They already
and
kind
then
of have, right? I mean, they pretty much already are the
yeah, but I
go-to.
mean, it's going to be more implicit, like sorry, more
Explicit.
explicit. They're gonna go out and try and buy the exclusive rights to certain tournaments, maybe even create their own tournament circuit, something like that. I'm sure they've had talks about this as an idea because we are starting to see some of the other tournaments still, like they take the money and they broadcast on MLG,
Yeah.
they broadcast on fucking Ding It of all places, which is
Yeah, it's true.
dreadful, and other platforms. So I think Twitch will be wanting to, as other platforms start growing up and TV companies are here, and big TV companies, they can make an online streaming platform pretty much like just in a week or whatever. Like, yeah, we can do that, no problem. We've already got one. Fuck it, let's start showing our content on that. So Twitch will be thinking about that, and I think the other thing they will do is I think they will go into producing original content. I don't know what form it'll take, but I definitely think they're going to do that soon. I think that's the future, and I think that would actually make Twitch way more out there than all of their competitors if they actually invested in doing that. Sure, the website needs a fucking overhaul first.
Gosh, yeah.
Let's not ignore that fact. But I definitely think at some point Twitch are going to be producing their own content, and I think it'll be great when they do.
Okay. Well, why don't we try to take some call-ins now and see how this goes. If you guys want to call in, or even if you just have a question, you can actually tweet at me. You can tweet at ChanMan, or you can actually join this Discord channel and talk to Wars, and he'll try to get you in. Okay, so first question I have is, let's see, for our first caller I have is Cans. Okay, he's called in before, so hopefully he's ready to go. Cans, what's up, man?
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Always a pleasure to talk to you on Unfiltered, and finally Richard.
Hi there.
It's been waiting for you to get on, man. So you got a question for us?
Oh, well, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but the main two stories that I'd like to focus are two Reddit threads that popped up 3 days ago on the League of Legends subreddit. The first one was called something like "Don't Be That Guy," and it was basically showcasing a guy in around his 20s, I guess, who's playing a League of Legends game and constantly, like, the typical toxicity that would get you banned by our almighty god, Riot Light. He was blaming other teammates, and then he blatantly starts to lie to force the other team to report the guy, and somebody calms him down and says, "Dude, chill, it's a level 5 game." Like, the reaction on Reddit was like almost 4,000 upvotes on the League of Legends subreddit for it, and people were abusing the guy, telling him to go kill himself, all that typical stuff that you would probably read on Richard Lewis's Twitter feed. saying,
It's happening right now while I'm doing the show, actually.
Yeah, I'm actually following that.
I published an article about Riot staff members being hypocritical in their use of Twitter today, and apparently one of them must have put up the radio frequencies or the Tumble arenas are now attacking me and saying that I'm a terrible human being for demanding that they apply a consistent standard to their staff. But whatever. Sorry, do continue.
Yeah, and basically all the Reddit moderators, specifically one, made a sticky post on that thread.
Wow. Okay.
Saying, "Oh, guys, I know that witch hunting and being toxicity is not very acceptable in our whole community, but what do you guys think?" Instead of shutting down the thread because of personal attacks, like basically they're showing off this poor guy who, okay, he's a toxic little bastard, but I don't think he should deserve any abuse, and they're just letting it happen. Like, put it inside of the town square, like he wrote in his post, a sticky post which 3 persons gave gold for, by the way.
Boss, right?
Wow.
Ridiculous. And he's saying, well, what do you guys think about it? He asks the community instead of moderating it, where clearly it violates their own rules. Like, what do you guys think about that? Have you seen that video?
Well, first of all, let's not pretend that the Reddit mods are on Reddit as a whole, not just in the League of Legends subreddit, are accountable in any way, shape, or form. They'll never be held accountable because Reddit staff members have become reliant on these little pathetic lapdogs doing all of their work for free. That's what they do. They're a volunteer workforce that do all of the shit jobs that Reddit staff don't want to have to do. On behalf of Reddit staff. Now, unfortunately, how do you reward them? They're unpaid. They can't accept any gifts or financial reimbursements for the moderation they do. So how do you reward them? Well, you reward them by allowing them to abuse power, which is only possible, of course, because Reddit has grown into this, behemoth. But you allow them to abuse power and don't hold them to any critical standard whatsoever. That's how you do it. And of course, they love it because it's the biggest internet forum, and they have dominion over, in many cases, multiple spaces in that forum, and they get to abuse their power however they see fit. And Reddit staff will turn a blind eye, even if it goes against the central tenets of the Reddit system. They simply do not care about it, and they don't enforce it. So the idea that you're ever going to get Reddit mods to be held accountable is laughable in and of itself. They can do whatever the fuck they want, and as long as people support Reddit as a platform, they'll continue to get away with it, and they'll continue to impose their own political agendas on spaces that are meant to be political neutral. So that's not even worth debating. In this instance, I think it's a good illustration of how the Reddit moderators in the League of Legends subreddit will consistently violate their own rules, and they're happy to have witch hunts when it's people they don't like very much. Before this, you had Nee Coleslaw, the female streamer who allegedly choked the cat. Absolutely didn't choke a cat whatsoever. Wasn't being abusive to her pets. Somehow PETA get involved because of Twitter furor. I think she had a Twitch account cancelled as a result of that. I don't know if she has it back.
No one knows why her Twitch account is banned. Sure, it'd be nice to know, but no.
Yeah, I think she still is
watching
banned.
too much YouTube videos.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah. So what they've done here is they've encouraged a witch hunt against a female streamer, predicated on something that obviously did not happen. There's no evidence to support that it happened. The video evidence, in fact, proves the opposite of what she was alleged to have done. And there was this huge witch hunt about it, which Reddit mods absolutely endorsed and allowed to occur using their platform as a conduit for it. Similarly, I've been a victim of witch hunts on multiple occasions, and I use the term victim loosely. It's just a bunch of retards typing shit on the internet. Okay. But I've been a victim of that, and threats and people threatening to leak my address and rape my girlfriend and all predicated on the Reddit moderators allowing that to happen, allowing people to spread misinformation about me, allowing them to use Reddit as a platform. Basically, a witch hunt is only a witch hunt if you're in the acceptable club of Riot-approved streamers, personalities, staff, and of course Reddit moderators who believe their anonymity is sacrosanct while simultaneously endorsing public figures being doxxed and harassed through their platform. which is a ridiculous standpoint to take. Again, it's not consistent. And that's what the League of Legends moderators have done consistently. I mean, they're some of the most deplorable, laughably deluded human beings I've ever had the misfortune to have to interact with over the course of my job. And I think this was underlined by a tweet I put out recently, where the head moderator who was stepping down from League of Legends said, "Hey, everyone, I'm now a free agent." Now, what does that even mean? It's not a job, mate. No one thinks you're in desire to hire. It's not sports. You're a Reddit moderator. No one's going to be like, "Oh, shit, man, but Guy Sunday's down. Let's go get that guy." Like, so why are you calling him a free agent? Then when asked why he was stepping down, he said, "Well, there's no money in it, and I treat this like a job." And he was asked, "How much do you think your work is worth?" And he said $40,000 to $70,000.
That was great.
Yeah, and then,
God.
I mean, I don't think he's necessarily wrong. Do we have to go into this?
No, you're definitely on the wrong side of this argument, bro.
There were people in that thread saying the face when I'm a special ed teacher and I teach Down syndrome people for $20,000 a year, or I'm a pilot responsible for 50 people.
Sorry, one at a time.
Special needs teachers were saying, "I only make 20,000. What do you do? That's more important."
First of all, there's
my mother's an accountant, and she came in. The moderator came in. He came in and said, "Yeah, but does your work impact on the lives of millions like mine does?" I mean, the level of fucking.
But that's a good point. Like, if your work only, if you think
that's a good point, you're too far.
You know this. You don't even agree with what you're saying, Richard. No,
I do agree with what I'm saying.
If your work impacts millions of people, it doesn't matter what the fuck you do.
That's the metric for how much your work.
Wait. See, let's Steven finish. Let's Steven finish.
You know
I don't know this. Okay, here you go. Right, I am a toilet cleaner in the most popular public toilet in the world. Millions of people over the course of the year will pee and poop in that toilet. I've impacted on the lives of millions of people. Pay me the same as the CEO, please.
Okay,
right,
but you just compared it to a CEO. Had the doctor that diagnosed Rachel with cancer, he's made a really big impact on my life, and I'm sure other people's lives as well. Do you think he makes as much money as fucking LeBron James playing basketball? No, of course not. It's always going to be the amount of people that you impact with the job that you do. You know this. Why do actors? No. Why do actors?
Just let him finish.
Why do any people that have reach? Why do musicians? Why do artists? Anybody that has a huge reach to tons of people is always going to get paid more than somebody. When are we pretending that we live in a meritocracy now, where you get paid based on how good of a person you are? We both know that this isn't true. You exactly just did say that.
No, I didn't say that. Again, you're conflating.
Anybody can go. No. Anybody can go to school and become a teacher. Any kind of teacher you want. Anybody can do it. Period. Right? Anybody can go. Do you disagree with that? That pretty much anybody can go to school and become a teacher. Not anybody can be the one of 6 or 10 moderators of the most popular gaming subreddit in literally the entire fucking world. Now,
actually, it requires the barrier of entry is far less to being a teacher.
That's absolutely not true.
What?
How many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of teachers exist?
Let me
Okay, hold on.
Let me just get this clear. Anybody can be a Reddit moderator.
Yes.
There's no tests. There's no exams.
That's right. Literally anybody.
Literally anybody. And yet you're saying that you have a better chance of being a teacher than you do a Reddit moderator.
Easily, 1,000,000 times over. I know that if I go and I put in the work, I can become a fucking teacher. You go to school, you get the degree. Do you disagree? Okay, hold on.
I don't think you have the patience.
Do you think that people, if they have the capability of attending school for another 4 years, do you think most people have the capability of going to school and becoming a teacher? Do you disagree with that?
Well, I mean, I obviously work in esports, so yes, I definitely do disagree with that.
Okay, realistically, of all people attending college, there are a lot of people that can go to school and become teachers. There are tens of thousands of teachers in the United States alone, right? Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I bet it's tens
in the U.S., the teaching profession is not like one of the ones that people, think as being, crazy professional. I mean, it's not even considered a professional. You're not even considered a professional. Yes.
There are tons of people that go to school that could become teachers. Now, if you were to say how many people can come and become like one of 10 moderators in one of the largest subreddits or whatever, the number of people that are realistically ever going to be in that position is way smaller. And the demand for that position is the demand versus the supply, right? How many tens of thousands of people would want to go and be a moderator in that subreddit? There's a fuck ton. The chances of you getting into a moderating position in a subreddit like that is going to be infinitely smaller than going and becoming a teacher or an accountant. right? I'm not saying that one job is like worth more than the other to society. I'm just saying that everybody in this room agrees with me, whether or not you're willing to say it. Everybody in here knows that if you are capable of performing well in a job that has an extremely high demand for it and an extremely low low number of people to do it, you're always going to make more money doing that.
I mean, the question is just
like,
scarcity.
Knows this. Like,
it's just the real question. I mean, the real point is that there's more teaching jobs like available than there are Reddit like League of Legends League of Legends mod positions. That's what he's saying. That's basically what he's saying. And is that wrong? I think that's correct. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of teaching positions where there's only, again, 10 mod positions. They can make that as many as they want. They just happen to make them, 10 at this point.
This is a sad. Never mind. All right, next topic.
Anyways, there's no point. There's no point in arguing that. It's just like.
Okay, and Richard Lewis knows this. This is how it works. Richard Lewis knows this. I don't know why he's.
I don't know this. I don't agree with you. This isn't kayfabe. This is kayfabe. I don't agree with you.
If there are a handful of positions open, and there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people vying for that position is always going to be harder to get than going and just getting a degree and doing whatever position that is, right?
Hey,
and if that position impacts millions of people, if there are millions of people looking at that position, those people are also going to be paid a ton more than anybody else. It doesn't matter how many lives you say or how many
Let's bring it back to the example. Let's bring it back to the example we're actually talking about, which is fucking Reddit mods, right? You do understand that the head Reddit mod in any subreddit could just go ahead and mod everybody. Like literally, you can just have an infinite number of
They can,
mods.
but that's not the reality of it, though. He doesn't. They don't do that.
But the only reason there's a standard and the only reason that there's an application process that you have to go through is at the behest of the head mod. They can mod people for a joke. They can mod people for any reason. They can mod as many people as they want. There is no barrier to entry to being a mod. Whereas I can't just walk into a school and be like, hey, kids, want to learn about bombs? I can't do it. Right? Like, I don't know why I would do that, but you can't do it. You have to go through. You have to get a degree. You have to get a teaching qualification. Then you have to do a work placement. You have to learn some soft skills on the job.
Okay, all right. I'm cutting you guys off here.
So
this is the most pointless discussion. This is pointless.
It's not really pointless because this is something that you have to understand growing up when you go to school. You can go to school and become a teacher and do that, and that's great. I'm not degrading those jobs because they're very fucking important, okay? But it'll make a lot of people in chat mad. I understand because you're so fucking 19. You think you're gonna make a lot of money if you're a good person. You don't. It's how many people you impact with your job. There's a reason why professional athletes and musicians and these people on TV, actors and actresses, are paid tens of millions of dollars for entertaining you versus a doctor that saves lives who will never make anywhere near as much money. Like the amount of competition for your position versus the amount of people you impact is always going to be a hugely determining factor in the money that you get paid. Now, a lot of people might not like that, but that's how fucking life works.
If you let me just interject, I think there's a way I can sort of turn the argument into something sensible, and that is what we're doing here. We're comparing two industries, so we are literally comparing apples and oranges here. What we're saying is, but it's the popularity of the entertainment industry that dictates the money, not that more people would rather spend more money on entertainment because of the society we live in, and therefore they get paid more, and therefore a doctor, even though he's saving lives, because this person is more popular and impacts more people's lives, that's what earns him the money. Actually, that's not true. So let's compare two doctors. So one doctor works in a very specialized field. Let's say he's like a Dr. House type character. He's a diagnostician, and he only diagnoses fucking diseases that have literally failed other doctors before they come to him. By definition, he operates in a specialist field and will deal with less people. Yet he will get paid more than a doctor that deals with more patients.
And you know which doctor makes more than both of those guys will in their entire fucking lives? Fucking Dr. Phil, dog.
He's actually right. He's actually right.
That's true.
He's actually right.
But it's not based on popularity. It's based on the fact he works in a very
popularity, though. How many people would want to be Dr. Phil? The demand for that position. There's only one person right now that is Dr. fucking Phil. Like the fact that he reaches millions and millions of people.
You want to be Dr. Phil.
But I mean, like, Dr. Phil isn't super intelligent. Like any neurosurgeon or whatever, people that work in these like really high qualification fucking doctor fields could step on and know all of his knowledge, but they aren't there. He's the one that's there, and the demand for that particular position is very high, and the outreach is huge.
Yeah, and I get that, but again, I'm just saying the point is, again, you can't take the entertainment industry and say it's popularity and that drives money when comparing it to the medical business, anything else like that. But the point is, if you were to compare doctors,
when you're
sometimes
you
your
can't.
specialization means you actually interact with fewer people, but you get paid more because.
No, but that's the thing. I don't know if you. I don't know if
I know
you.
that you both can see this.
I don't. I mean, so okay, just God, you guys, man. In terms of like specialists versus like general doctors, I mean, from the standpoint of popularity, do general doctors see more patients per day? Probably, but you know what? The popularity is pretty close to the same. They're not seeing like tens of thousands of people more than like a cardiologist, right? So those guys are in the same boat. So cardiologists make more because they're specialized, because they've done more, they've had extra, just extra schooling, extra residencies, extra just specialization, right? And there's only few cardiologists, or just X number of cardiologists in the world. So that's why they make more money. And they're on the same level of popularity, right? So Stephen does have a point, okay, in that there is, Dr. Phil does make more than everybody because of the popularity. It's a different industry, but that industry just happens to have more. It is more about influencing people, right?
Yeah,
like so that's
exactly. But what I'm saying is the rule of thumb about the more popular the person, the more money they make it doesn't apply to every industry. And if you apply the rule cross industry, it does lose its sort of meaning. It's divorced from context. So
there's,
okay. Here's
there is some translate. I
have a question. Is there an industry where there is one position that a lot of people are accepted into, and anybody can get into it? They try hard enough. Versus another position that is highly selective, and only a few people can get into that, and a lot of people want to get into it. Is there any industry where that latter position makes less money than the former position?
I'm not too sure.
What about religion? What about religion?
No, like even within the same industry, like is like like if you make partner at a firm, are you ever making less than just one of the fucking lawyers working there? Or if you
never
like, is there
that never happens.
But now what we're talking about isn't popularity. We're talking
doesn't
about corporate hierarchy.
No, but we're talking, but it ties into everything. Ties in together. How many people are vying?
A partner will typically work less active cases and therefore interacts with fewer people. Therefore, has less of an opportunity.
But they always make more. But they always make more.
Impacts on less lives, but they make more because they're partnered with the firm.
But how many people are vying for that guy's particular position? It's going to be a lot more than the people who just want to be a person working at the firm, right? There are a lot more people that want to be partner there than just right because of
okay, so I don't know if I think there's more people. Okay, I think there's more people. There's more people applying to be a lawyer, like an entry level lawyer.
Yeah.
Than probably
at a particular firm, you have tons of people that are working the whatever low level job, but all of those people want to be partner, right? It's easier to get in and just be a lawyer working there than to make partner there, right? Is what
of course, there's one it has a requirement, like which is
sure.
You have to be in there.
Given field, and like I can't think of any contradiction to this. In any given field, if there is a position that everybody in that field is vying for, and there are less people in that position than in the positions below them, that field is always getting paid more money than anyone else ever. And working, like I can't think of anything that doesn't work that way.
Okay, I mean I can't think of an example either.
Like being an
all right.
Like being an internet moderator, right? If you're talking about the League of Legends players, if you've got literally tens of thousands of people vying for a position that only a handful of people have, it only makes sense that that position could carry a monetary value to it. If you've got tens of thousands of people vying for these particular moderating positions, then it wouldn't be surprising at all to me.
So they should they be paid? I mean,
I'm not saying I don't want moderators to be paid on Reddit. If moderators were paid on Reddit, they'd have to be accountable by definition. That would be brilliant. They would become Reddit staff members, and therefore, when they do abuse these powers and misbehave, I mean, not that Reddit care because they wear their fucking agenda on their sleeve anyway. But there would at least be some recourse for accountability. As things stand, Reddit get to say, "Hey, they're volunteers, so we can't tell them what to do." A subreddit is their space. If you don't like the way they moderate,
it's a fucked up.
Go create your own.
It's a whole fucked up thing, and I talked to like the Hearthstone like subreddit like head recently too, and it's just like one of these things where they're put in a position where the devs don't have their own community site, or even a third party doesn't have the default community site, and Reddit is the community site, and they're forced to be basically heads or head just in a way running these community sites, and they're not paid for this when normally they should be paid for a service like this. So they're kind of put in this space where it's like general Reddit mods should never, be influenced by being paid by whoever, right, and that sort of thing. But at the same time, these people are essentially our esport community sites, so they're in a fucked up spot. I feel like, just depending on the day, I feel like there's arguments against them, and then just in this particular case with Cans, bringing this up, and there's days where I feel for them because it's just like, shit, man, these people are volunteers and they're doing it, and yeah, sometimes they forget and they abuse their power, or they do something they shouldn't behavior wise, but it's just
let's be clear, these people know they operate the most popular fucking subreddit on Reddit, and they abuse that power, and they like to hold dominion over people because it's the only power they're ever going to get. Trust me, I know these people are. They work fucking menial jobs. They've got nothing going for them whatsoever. I mean, seriously, I wish it wasn't true. They're just a bunch of fucking weeaboos who work fucking menial jobs. They go to colleges, they study mathematics. It's just, they are just walking fucking stereotypes of everything that's wrong with the fucking internet. And unfortunately, this is it for them. This is their high watermark of their life. So obviously they go a little bit ham. Oh, what's that? I can demand that a content creator has to acquiesce and change his content based on my fucking standards. I can do that? Oh, that's awesome. And of course they do it. Oh, I can have a conversation with Sky Williams? Oh my God, this is so exciting for me because I'm a fucking nobody and I'll always be a nobody. That's it. Their lives, this is it. This is as good as it gets for them. So I understand why they abuse the power. It just doesn't make it okay.
All right, Cans. Thanks for the question, man.
Wait.
Yeah. You want one more?
Do we actually believe that this guy should, for managing a subreddit where in peak hours has 20,000 people just browsing, and if you go to the main site right now, the topics have 400 comments, 600 comments, 1,200 comments 4 hours ago, whatever. When the guy in the AMA/farewell thread, even one guy asks him in the AMA, "Why were you such a shitty mod when you were a mod?" Basically, and he answers,
"Well,
I was kind of slow on moderating the subreddit. I always excelled in problem solving when there was."
That's what he said. I excelled in conflict resolution. He's fucking Kofi
between moderators on decisions.
Guys, calm down. Calm down. Our Slack group is really blowing up here. Can we all just agree that we're going to ban the nasty man? Come the fuck on,
guys.
Seriously.
We gotta ban this guy. Who raise your hands now. Who's gonna ban? Oh, you don't want to ban him? Well, we need to take you to their channel. We need to talk about this. This is how we resolve stuff. Come on. He admitted that he took this job super seriously, and he deserved from 40 to 70,000.
Okay,
I mean, if actually he would manage 800,000 people, like Steven said previously, but I would get it. But
do you know what he does? Do you know what he does to pay the bills? This guy, by his own admission in this thread, so it's not doxing. Right, he just sits at home and transcribes audio. I mean, I don't know where it is on the hierarchy. Is that below data entry or just above it? So this guy's got no fucking perspective.
I mean, you realize that a court stenographer just transcribed job.
Right, exactly. But again, it's actually
classic moment.
Is he earning 40,000 a year?
Oh, listen. It's a specialized position. There's lots of ethical things that come with it because obviously you're being privy to fucking court information that can't be leaked. On top of that, it's written in a very specific type of shorthand and needs to be written at a very incredibly high words per minute. So again, they're not really just transcribing audio. So again, you're being a bit disingenuous.
Well, what does he do for transcribing audio? What does he do? I don't know. Does he
I just explained it to you how it's completely different. This isn't somebody.
What he does. What did the guy at the subreddit say?
He said something like, if companies have recorded a meeting, it's just minutes of a meeting, he types it up on Word in his spare time and probably gets paid a nominal amount for it. So this guy has no fucking perspective about what it's like to even have a real fucking job. And that's why he thinks Reddit moderation is worth $70,000 a year when it absolutely isn't.
All right.
I mean, it's just somebody from the outside. It's just...
I don't understand. I'm not making fun.
I understand. To have some perspective, because we're all in our gaming.
Those jobs.
Okay, but I'm just saying that to have some perspective in our gaming bubble. And I'm not saying anyone is necessarily right or wrong, but to have some perspective in our gaming bubble, we just earlier were having a discussion where you said that you would go and talk about video games, and you would bill $1,000 a day, with what I'm guessing includes travel and room and board. You would bill $1,000 a day to talk about video games. Why?
Or host.
And then you would make fun of a guy who wants money for moderating a subreddit. Like, I can defend both of those positions using very similar arguments, but it seems like you want to defend yours.
No,
Again,
I've said I'm not making fun of him. I'm not making fun of him for moderating a subreddit. I'm making fun of him for valuing moderating the subreddit at $70,000 per annum.
Well, he said, what would he
thinking
ask
that
for?
this
He
is
said,
his
what did
actual
it
job.
say, like,
$40,000 to $70,000 a year. He thinks that's what pressing delete on a few threads is.
See,
worth.
that's that's
When he
that's
said
not
he's not
exactly
even-
all
he's
they
not
do.
even good at it.
And
Okay,
then again, like, if you-
you're definitely
you reduce it that
undervaluing what
much,
they
like,
do.
Again, then I would say, like, you want to charge $1,000 a day to go to a place and talk about video games, right? Obviously, it would be absurd to reduce your job to that, right? I think that would be.
They do more than
I
that,
don't
Richard.
think it is. Here's the reality.
They do.
Like, I agree with you. I think it's absurd, Stephen. I wake up every day and think, isn't my life absurd? Isn't it just all absurd? It is absurd. Of course, it's absurd. It's absurd for a variety of reasons. But the fact is that, like, there's a demand for this, and people are willing to pay that money. So if at any point it stops, I'll revise my fee. But people are willing to pay it at the moment, and I'm going to take advantage of that fact. I think I'm good at what I do. I take pride in what I do.
Just
But here's
market.
thing.
That's just the
But
market.
the amount of work it involves, the travel, the fucking research, the prep, the risk in terms of having that we've talked about earlier in the show, being the face of a broadcast and how that can backfire and how you're not going to get any support if anything does backfire. Obviously, that needs to be financially remunerated. Now, unfortunately, when you're a fucking Reddit moderator and literally your level of involvement is delete, ban, go on Slack. Did you see this thread? And I've seen what these guys talk about. Like, they're not lobbying for a cure for cancer or world peace. It's just vacuous nonsense.
I guess here's a question.
So they are not worth $40,000 to $70,000 a year for what they do, and I'm sorry if you think that they
So,
are.
I mean, yeah. So, Steven, you've never actually said that you do think they deserve $40,000 or $70,000. Do you actually think they do?
I don't know. I'd have to see everything that entails the job.
I mean,
probably not. As it stands right now, probably not. I imagine if they were getting paid that much, that they would step up. But I mean, like, when you stop sensationalizing everything and you put it all into context, like, if you say, like, do you think you need $40,000 a year to moderate a subreddit? Well, no, that sounds really retarded. You're pretty much begging the question at that point. To push the delete button? No, of course not. However, do you think that you deserve $40,000 a year, which is a competitive salary in the gaming industry, moderating the largest gaming subreddit on Twitch for what is inarguably the most popular game in the world at the moment? I don't know. Could you make arguments one way or the other? Probably. I think that my point of view is a little bit more of a realistic way to look at it. The former makes it obviously look like a fucking joke, but I mean, yeah, if you want to be one of a handful of moderators in the largest gaming subreddit on one of the largest social media platforms, if you count Reddit as social media, in existence right now, for the largest and most popular game in the world right now, where you are in charge of policing content that ultimately will go on to represent Riot, which is one of the largest game companies in terms of, like, popular esports games in the world right now, could you argue that position could carry a salary? Yeah, I think you could make legitimate arguments for it, sure. But I don't know what that number would be or what that work would entail.
Okay, well, thanks for the call, Ken. Oh, Richard. Oh, we gotta get Richard back on here. Oh, Richard, you dropped. Hold on. Hold on. Give us 1 second, guys. Sorry, Richard kind of dropped out of this call on accident here. Good old. All right. Well, in the meantime, we're gonna see. We're gonna try to get a different caller here. Hold on a second. There you go. You back? Richard, you back? Hello? Richard, you back? Gosh, this is great. Steven, you hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, buddy?
God, you guys. Okay. Oh, actually, Can's had one more thing. Sorry about that. Having some technical issue.
Do you think that it's necessarily harder to be a programmer for, like, fucking Flappy Bird or some shit versus being a programmer for one of the other 50 million little mobile apps out there?
Is it harder?
Probably not necessarily. that, like not like insurmountably harder, but do you think that position gets paid more?
Well, I mean, there's a huge difference
Probably.
between there's a huge difference
Because
between,
there's a huge
no, listen,
how much higher demand to be in that particular position, right? Versus working for any random shitter, a lot more people would want to vie for that position. So obviously it's
well, that's a bad
And
example.
because
That's
that-
a bad example.
no,
like, to
because
be
that
honest
app
with you.
has a much larger outreach as
No,
well.
but
Like,
that's not how things work like at that. I mean, it's just like.
What do you mean that's not
No,
how
no, no.
things
What I'm
work?
saying is like
Oh.
you get hired to be a developer. What you develop is just based on whatever, whatever you just whoever's your architect of your business, whoever's deciding what products you make.
Sure, but when you're
It's
working
different.
with a lot of these small startups in
Yeah,
the
Richard?
fucking mobile industry, I'm sure people are giving you some degree of equity in the business in order to entice you to work for them and whatnot, so that if your app goes fucking viral and huge and shit, you're gonna get some kind of payout from that, right?
No, not at studios. No, that's not how it works.
Not
There you
at-
go.
not
I hear
at
you.
like a-
I hear you,
not at
Rich.
like a well-established like video game studio.
Can you hear
But
me,
when you're
Rich?
working for one of the smaller startups and whatnot, usually
I-
people promise you some degree of equity, right? You're not just working for like $5 or $10 an hour on some stuff that this guy's promising you to go viral, right? Usually people will promise you some degree of equity or something in the company for something like that, right? We just had this.
I mean, it just depends on what you're
discussion a year
talking
ago with
about.
Hearthstone, for that
That's-
Hearthstone
that's it.
app or whatever that the two guys were working for. What was it called? The Hearth Arena?
Hearth Arena. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're talking. I mean, there's like different levels of all kind these. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. You're talking about like some guy that works for, Freestyle or something like that. Then it's just like no, he just gets hired as an engineer and he gets
Well, yeah,
paid like an
because,
engineer
that's
and he
an
does
already-
whatever the hell they
yeah,
tell him
because
to
That's an already
But-
established thing. Yeah, sure.
do. Yeah, Richard, you back?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so. Can you
cool.
hear me?
Yeah, I can
This
hear you
caller
now.
sounds just like Richard Lewis.
Hey, hold on a
Hi,
sec.
you got it?
I actually
What's your
can't.
question?
Cans wants to say. Actually, he wanted to say one thing to you before he left. Cans,
Okay.
all right, you wanted to say something to Richard real quick?
Yeah, just real quick. I noticed like Richard's last
Yeah.
show, and I know Richard is a comic book fan, and he always reminded me of one of my favorite comic book heroes from the DC comic universe. Because like half of the public loves him, like half hates him for what he does. Like the bad guys of the esports
Where's the
industry.
punchline? Come on.
It's coming.
Bad guys
It's
of the,
coming.
It's not a meme.
Yeah.
Bad guys of the industry are always scared of him, and you always fight for the good people. You're
A Wonder
people's
Woman, right?
champion.
Wonderful.
My point is that Richard is the Rorschach of esports. So just hope
I'll
not.
take
Yeah,
Rorschach. I'll
That's
take
right.
Rorschach.
That's right.
Let's just hope he doesn't end up like Rorschach did in the esports.
That's a good one.
I'll
That's
take
a good one.
Rorschach. Sexually dysfunctional,
Oh my god.
emotionally disturbed,
That part of it? Oh my god. Okay.
unreasonable. Yeah, I'll take Rorschach.
All
I'm
right.
not locked in with here with you. You're locked in here with me. All that stuff. Okay.
All right.
I hope-
That's what it's
I
going
hope-
to be this week. This week, watch this space. Going to be a very busy man. So thanks a lot, dude.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
I hope you always fell on your 2 feet wherever you go, and see you soon on your.
He'll be
anything,
fine.
Whatever
He
you're gonna
will be
do.
fine. Don't worry.
Believe that.
Okay.
I'm not worried. I'm just
No,
like,
you'll-
fine
you-
in anticipation.
Appreciate it though, brother.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Yeah,
Take care.
you guys will
Who is
find out
Rick?
in the near
Explain,
future.
I have no fucking idea. I don't read comic
This
books.
is where I reveal I'm actually becoming the first paid Reddit mod.
Oh man, which subreddit? Which
I managed-
subreddit?
Well, that's the interesting thing. It's Dota 2.
Oh,
And I've managed to haggle them up to $100,000 a year, which is pretty good.
Nice.
okay, Moose. He's next. Hey, Moose. What's up?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first I wanted to make a joke. I heard Dignitas mods get paid in mouse pads.
It's a meme. It's edgy.
It's a meme.
We'll allow this.
Nice, man.
It is a
Thank you.
nice meme. It is a nice meme.
Well, my second part is, well, my question is actually like a three-parter.
Oh,
Basically-
three-parter.
He's he's
So,
smart.
ESPN esports.
Oh boy.
Was it as underwhelming for you guys as it was for me? Like, I expected more of them. I expected a Twitch channel where they would basically live stream
shows and things like that.
I expected something like that, and all I got was basically not proofread articles, low quality articles.
Oh,
It's not a shot. I
Yeah.
don't mean it. To
I know.
be a shot,
I know.
Oh, it's a
I know.
shot.
I know.
But I know you guys have also seen the articles. Like they have decent articles. Like Stephen Chu
Yeah.
is his name, I think.
Yeah.
Like he writes great articles. Tyler writes great articles when he's not forced to have a quota. But otherwise, he writes decent articles from time to time. But I expected like way more. I expected their involvement to be huge. Like they would be the ESPN of esports, and all I saw was like basically just a vertical, just basically a news site. And there's no engagement from them when it comes to having like a video content channel. Like even IGN has a video content channel where they show all their stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like I expect so much more. And
It's-
like so the second part of the question is like what should ESPN do? Like should they have a basically like a Twitch channel where they show their stuff? Is there a place in esports for basically a TV channel like show? I mean a TV channel focused on esports?
I mean, short answer to that is yeah, absolutely. You know, the reality though is that ESPN are doing what's called hedging your bets, which is they know that esports is going to be big. They know it's going to tap into a demographic that maybe they don't have ready access to. They know that traditional sports numbers are actually going down, which is bizarre because subscriptions are going up. In overall cost and profits from that sector are going up as well. So they need to reinvigorate what they're doing. Now, ESPN's problem was that they had, I think it's John Skipper, who publicly came out and said, esports isn't a sport and it'll never be a sport and we're more interested in focusing on sports. And they said this actually off the back of reports that they were going to get more into esports. I know I made some of them from my ESPN sources. And it was almost like a denial because every time they come out and talk about esports, they get a wave of these like thick-necked truckers who, you know, in their 50s, who were like, it'll never be a sport. Unless someone's getting brain damage, it isn't a sport. You know, like that's just their attitude, unfortunately. So they're trying to hedge their bets, and that's why you don't overcommit, right? You don't overcommit to a project and start putting in Twitch channels and paying for original content and all of that stuff. You don't do that at the get-go because you might be a spectacular flop. And how many spectacular flops have we seen in esports? It would be hugely embarrassing if the ESPN division came out, hit the ground running, did a bunch of great content, and then for one reason or another had to shut down very quickly. It would look like a failed experiment, and it would basically validate the opinion that esports wasn't real from all those people that said it, and it would make ESPN look amateurish. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I feel like it's still out for debate because we've had some events, but it's not prime time esports like it will be like in the summer, in the coming couple months here. Like the summer going into the end of the year is usually just the craziness, right, of esport, and then we'll kind of see what happens. But for me, generally, I just feel like they weren't from the standpoint of hiring writers and like targeting certain people. I think they had a good plan for that. But in terms of just the overall channel and the overall site and just the overall space, just how they're going to tackle it, I don't think they've done a good job of it because, like you said, there's just no video content. That's actually the one thing that I think Yahoo's done okay. Like the thing that with Yahoo, right, hiring Travis, right?
You hire a man that you
but
can't put on video because he looks like Nosferatu.
Well, forget what he looks like. There's just not video content. Like if Rada's pumping out video content, then whatever, right? And that's where I think is
the thing. This is ESPN. It's a Disney-owned company. They're very image conscious.
Okay.
Like seriously, you don't realize how much of a black eye, how embarrassing that was. That during a fucking discussion about drug addicts, your fucking senior reporter slithers out of his coffin, all fucking upright, and there's drugs. Never seen them before. Don't know what they are. This is a Disney-owned fucking company. So obviously it was hugely embarrassing. Trust me. They never wanted to put him in front of a camera ever again. So if that was their plan, it already fucking failed.
Well, regardless, they don't have a plan to put video up. And I see that's the one thing about Yahoo. So Yahoo hired Travis to do it. And at least with them hiring Travis comes with a bunch of video interviews and things like that, to help jumpstart a channel. They don't have the writers that I think the ESPN's done with writers.
Of course, Yahoo and GameSpot have had a relationship that's
sure.
there before. It's
yes,
still the same
I know that.
player. Ultimately, nothing's changed but the label. The interviews are the same fucking.
I'm just saying it should be a combination. I'm just saying, ESPN should have been a combination of those things just to kick off. and then just to go from there with some original
content. I don't
content.
necessarily disagree with what ESPN did at the start. They went out and got good writers. They did hire some good writers. Their fundamental problem was that, like you say, okay, they didn't have a contingency for video. I don't think you necessarily need that. The way they curate the content is ridiculous. There's still no CSGO section.
There's still a Hearthstone section, baby.
Yeah, but Hearthstone, we did it.
Hey, Bucky.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, the whole ESPN thing is, it was just poorly executed. But that starts with the hires and works its way down. If you think Slash is the guy to spearhead a dynamic, new, fucking hardworking, fucking journalism vertical, then you've not been paying attention for the last 3 years. And maybe even a little bit.
What's funny is there's no reason why there's not a CSGO. I mean, at this point, it could just literally be a link that filters the articles, because there are CSGO articles being written on ESPN or being distributed on ESPN. So it's a lot of things. Obviously.
Look, at the end of the day, I talked about this on By the Numbers, which is obviously the CSGO podcast they do with Thorin. And I think this is just worth mentioning here, just for the record. My spy network, my sources do tell me that indeed the tyrannical reign of Slasher might have already come to an end at ESPN, and he might not be on the writing staff anymore. And instead he'll be focusing on doing things more within his skill set, like booking interviews and that kind of thing. So maybe that's something he can excel at, rather than all the slimy, unethical stuff he's doing behind the scenes.
Like, if you compare Yahoo's start in esports and ESPN starts in esports, it feels like Yahoo did more research because they have video content, and video content is easier to digest for the target group, Like, I feel like Yahoo's start was much better than ESPN start.
Yeah, video's always. It's always sexier. It's always going to look better on a site.
It's just a known quantity.
Yeah,
I think ESPN, they actually went out and got writers that are capable of journalism.
Right.
I'm thinking like Theon and there's a bunch of other people. Obviously, like hell, the editor they've got is not a bad journalist. He might be underqualified a little bit or inexperienced, but they've actually got good writers there, and I'm pretty sure they're going to add to that very soon. I'm pretty sure they're going to have another round of hires, and there's going to be some big names involved.
Yep.
My understanding is that Jacob Wolf's handed in his notice at the Daily Dot. Well, if that's the case, ESPN could certainly do worse than having the person that I fully imagine is going to sort of take over my role of breaking stories. That's fine. But with Yahoo, what they did is they went out and basically got content that appeals to the lowest common denominator. I mean, let's be absolutely clear. Travis isn't a journalist. He's a guy who does very watered down, easy to digest interviews, and that's absolutely fine. There's a market for that. It's when he tries to wear the mantle of being a journalist, that's when the problems begin. I certainly have issues with Yahoo hiring somebody that effectively took a free holiday to Maui to write a hit piece about another LCS team owner to benefit the people who were paying for that holiday to Maui. When he was at On Gamers, this is somebody that would routinely take stories from junior writers, including William Turton. This is also somebody who you would badger and beaver companies to get freebies from them, which of course is a gross ethical breach as a journalist. So this is somebody that probably doesn't deserve to be associated with a company as big as Yahoo. But here we are. This is the state of esports journalism. If you thought gaming journalism had problems, esports journalism is absolutely in a bad spot right now.
Getting back to your original question, Moose, should there be more content like talk shows and things like that? Yes, I would say yes.
I meant actually like a channel full of esports content, like shows, news.
Yeah, but that you have to. It's not going to be Sports Center like on Twitch. I mean, that takes a lot of staff,
ESPN
a lot of resources.
ESPN definitely have those resources, though. I mean, I think
not necessarily from the standpoint of just esports resources. Do they have a studio? Yes,
the entire point of the company founding like an esports division is that they'd be able to share aspects with their primary division or assets with their primary.
Sure, like I think the production, the studio, it's all there. You guys are in Connecticut. But the thing is that like, have they hired talent to do that yet? I don't necessarily think they have. I don't, like you said, most of the people that I've hired have been more for written written content than there have been for video content. But I can see that down the road. It's just like maybe a little bit more towards what Richard's saying. They're just slowly getting into it. I wish it would have been just a huge bang.
ESPN,
it would have
get it right.
Yeah, I wish it was just a huge bang, though.
ESPN, right? Like their sports coverage, unprecedented. You know that they've been at the forefront of it, and yeah, there's been some controversies. Yeah, there's been allegations that, for example, like their coverage of certain NFL scandals has been handled with their business relationship with NFL in mind. You know. That's par for the course when you're a big publication. ESPN have shown me, at least, with some of the hires and the direction they're going in, that they do want to get it right in this space. Has it been a bumpy start? Yeah. Would I back ESPN to be at the forefront of esports coverage by the end of 2016? Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
I think they will get it right, and you know it's got the potential to be in a good place. You know, I'm watching the Daily Dots esports section, which has been the one flying the flag for esports coverage for the longest time, and I'm proud to have been involved with that. But you know, I'm watching what's happening over there, and it feels like maybe they're going to start losing some of their best people. I certainly hope they can replace them because they've done so much. You know, they've done so much for esports reporting in general, and actually
They're just